Hello and welcome. We are live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next hour, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's developmental push to northern state of Uttar Pradesh will inaugurate projects worth more than rupees 42,000 crore. India poised to sign trade agreement with four-nation EFTA bloc agreement to pave way for investment of $100 billion in India over the next 15 years. Nigeria's spate of abductions worsens. Over a dozen students kidnapped in a dawn trade days after more than 300 students were kidnapped from school. Czech Republic's Kristina Pliskova wins the coveted Miss World 2024 title at a grand event in Mumbai. India hosted the event after 28 years. News in detail now. With an aim to enhance connectivity and provide a significant boost to socio-economic development in the northern state of Uttar Pradesh, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate, dedicate and lay the foundation stone of multiple development initiatives worth more than rupees 42,000 crore. Prime Minister will inaugurate and lay the foundation stone of 15 airport projects across the country and will inaugurate 12 new terminal buildings to serve 620 lakh passengers annually. To improve road connectivity, Prime Minister will dedicate to nation and lay the foundation stone of several road projects. During the program, Prime Minister will also inaugurate, dedicate and lay the foundation stone of multiple rail projects worth around rupees 8,200 crores, which will strengthen their rail infrastructure in Uttar Pradesh. Alright, PM to inaugurate projects in Uttar Pradesh. So multiple development initiatives worth more than rupees 42,000 crore, 15 airport projects across the country and 12 new terminal buildings. Also several road projects to be inaugurated. Multiple rail projects, as we said, worth rupees 8,200 crores and aim to boost rail infrastructure in Uttar Pradesh. And earlier on Saturday, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi held a roadshow and received a rousing welcome from the people of the holy city. The Prime Minister also offered prayers at the Kashi Vishwanath temple in Varanasi. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath was also present besides PM Modi during the auspicious ceremony. And after offering prayers, Prime Minister Narendra Modi picked up a Trishul, a divine symbol of the Hindu deity Lord Shiva, and greeted people while holding it in his hand. And India has close and long-standing relations with Mauritius, an island nation in the Western Indian Ocean, anchored in shared history, demography and culture. The development partnerships have been the foundation pillars of ties between the two nations.
India's President Draupadi Murmu will embark on a visit to Mauritius from 11th to 13th March 2024 to attend the National Day celebrations of Mauritius on 12th of March as the chief guest. The invitation to India's President for National Day celebrations of Mauritius shows India's close ties with Mauritius. The development partnerships have been the foundation pillars of the partnerships between the two nations. Recently, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Prime Minister of Mauritius, Pravind Jugnauth, had jointly inaugurated the new airstrip and St. James Jetty, along with 6 community development projects at the Agalega Island in Mauritius via video conferencing. People in Mauritius are happy with these projects.
India has helped us with grants, with Metro Express, hospitals. India has helped us enormously in building up the infrastructure in Agalega.
The inauguration of these projects is significant as it follows the recent launch of UPI and RuPay card services in Mauritius on 12th of February 2024. The inauguration of these projects is a testimony to the robust and decades-old development partnership between India and Mauritius.
India is poised to sign trade agreement with 4-nation EFTA bloc. EFTA comprises Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway and Switzerland. Agreement to pave way for investment of $100 billion in India over the next 15 years. Here's more on the deal.
India and the 4-nation European Free Trade Association or EFTA are set to sign a trade deal on Sunday, March the 10th. The European Free Trade Association is the intergovernmental organization of Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway and Switzerland. EFTA countries are not part of the European Union. India's exports to EFTA countries during 2022-2023 stood at $1.92 billion. Imports aggregated at $16.74 billion during the same period. EFTA has 29 free trade agreements with 40 partner countries including Canada, Chile, China, Mexico and Korea. Now let's take a look at some of the highlights of India-EFTA deal. India and EFTA have been negotiating the pact since 2008. Agreement has 14 chapters including trade in goods, rules of origin, intellectual property rights, trade in services, investment promotion and cooperation, government procurement, technical barriers to trade and trade facilitation. The agreement, along with greater market access, also has commitment for investment of $100 billion in India over the next 15 years to generate 1 million jobs. Countries like Switzerland have eliminated import duties on industrial goods while maintaining them on agricultural products. Deal could see a reduction of tariffs on gold, a significant demand from the trading bloc, particularly Switzerland. India has maintained stance on intellectual property rights, emphasizing that concessions related to data exclusivity are not being offered. After the India-EFTA deal, India could see higher imports of machinery, pharmaceuticals, medical instruments and machinery, as there would be a sharp reduction in Indian tariffs. India is also looking at the EFTA deal to help diversify imports away from China. India currently depends on China for key medical imports. Free trade agreements play a key role for a fast-growing large economy like India. Along with other advantages, FTAs allow exporters access to international market at low custom duties. India has been discussing free trade agreements with several partners, both bilateral and regional. India-UK FTA negotiations are said to be at an advanced stage. India so far has inked 13 free trade agreements with its partners, the most recent ones with Mauritius, UAE and Australia.
Foreign ministers of Nordic countries continue to arrive in New Delhi. Foreign Minister of Bjarni Benediktsson arrived on Sunday ahead of the signing of EFTA agreement. In a post on social media, External Affairs Ministry said his visit is set to further strengthen our ties, including in trade and investment. And Foreign Minister of Liechtenstein, Dominik Halsler, the visit will give a boost to our economic and commercial partnership. This is what he said. And the 54th Director General level border conference between Border Security Force, BSF and Border Guard Bangladesh BGP concluded at its headquarters in Dhaka on Saturday. The border conference, which started on March 5th, ended with the signing of the joint record of discussion document. Both the countries have agreed to resume the joint coordinated border patrolling to reduce criminal activities like smuggling of cattle, weapons and narcotics on the border. They also agreed to take effective steps for the prevention of human trafficking and illegal crossing of the international border. India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman attended a book launch event in New Delhi. Finance Minister said that IPR laws and policies are being strengthened to create a more conducive environment.
India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman attended launch of book Pratibha M. Singh on patent law by Justice Pratibha M. Singh in New Delhi. The book aims to provide a deep dive knowledge on patents and patent laws not just in India but also across the world. Finance Minister said that IPR laws and policies are being strengthened to create a more conducive environment.
We've taken quite a few steps, and I similarly thank Honourable Prime Minister for this particular policy, which after a lot of consultation has come up in 2016. A few things were taken up soon after that. 8 different items, all of whom have something to do with intellectual property, have all been brought together, meaning they are under one umbrella. As a result, you're not running from pillar to post. Everything to do with the policy management on intellectual property rights are now under one framework, be it patents, trademark, industrial designs, copyrights, geographical indications, semiconductor integrated circuit layout design, trade secrets, and also plant varieties.
Government is striving to maintain a balance in protecting the interests of innovators, patent applicants and patent holders while also considering the commercial potential of their inventions for our society. Justice Pratibha Singh made huge contribution towards this goal.
The long journey of this book, culminating with the event today, is actually a momentous day in my life. It is a journey of aspirations, encouragement, and hope. Hope not just for individuals, but hope for the country.
This book is a homage to the 2 judges who wrote the first report on patent laws. The book also incorporates parts of the 1100 patent judgments that was laid out by the Delhi High Court. Dibyendu Model, DD India.
And India has presented a detailed model on behalf of the G4 nations for the reform of the United Nations Security Council. Ambassador Ruchira Kamboj presented the G4 model on behalf of Brazil, Germany, Japan and India, aiming to initiate debate, dialogue and ultimately negotiations. These proposals received strong support from a wide range of UN members. A report.
India has proposed a detailed model representing the G4 nations for Security Council reform. It suggests adding new permanent members elected by the General Assembly and shows flexibility on the veto issue. India's permanent representative to the UN, Ambassador Ruchira Kamboj, emphasized the importance of the UN's 88th anniversary next year as a milestone to make tangible progress on the long-pending issues of Security Council reform. Participating in the intergovernmental negotiation, she represented the G4 model on behalf of Brazil, Germany, Japan and India, sparking a strong support from a wide range of UN members.
We join the majority of member states in calling for a reformed Security Council that is more representative of the UN membership, with members elected through a charter-based democratic process. Under the model, we advocate that any member, large or small, is welcome to be a candidate for a new permanent seat on a reformed council to be elected in a General Assembly election on the basis of its own merit and capacity to assume responsibility for maintaining international peace and security.
Kamboj highlighted that the geopolitical landscape has significantly evolved since the Security Council's establishment in 1945. She emphasized the need for change in line with current realities during her presentation of the comprehensive G4 model to UN member states.
The G4 position on the issue of the veto, colleagues, is very well known. While the new permanent members would, as a principle, have the same responsibilities and obligations as current permanent members, they shall not exercise the veto until a decision on the matter has been taken during a review. Since the issue of the veto is important, it would be desirable to sort it out with other critical topics. And at the same time, we should not allow the veto issue, to have a veto over the process of the Council reform itself. Our proposal, I would also add, is also a gesture of showing flexibility on the issue for a constructive negotiation.
The G4 model suggests expanding the Security Council's membership from 15 to 25-26 with the addition of 5 permanent and 4 or 5 non-permanent members. Of the 6 new permanent members, 2 each are proposed to be from African states and Asia-Pacific states, 1 from Latin America and Caribbean states, and 1 from Western European and other states. Syed Absarul Hassan reporting for DD India.
Still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. After Canada, now Sweden resumes funding to UN aid agency. Catalonia faces its worst drought on record. People prayed for rain. Sea Defenders 2024 between Indian Coast Guard and US Coast Guard culminates at Port Blair.
Wherever news breaks, whatever it takes.
Connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs, with a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. The comprehensive maritime security exercise Sea Defenders 2024 between Indian Coast Guard and US Coast Guard culminates at Port Blair of India. The exercise was aimed to enhance maritime cooperation and interoperability between the two forces. After the exercise, US Coast Guard cutter Bertholf departed from Port Blair. Its visit was marked by a series of engaging harbour activities. These joint exercises provide valuable training opportunities for both Coast Guards, allowing them to refine their skills and improve their ability to work together in a coordinated manner. The visit serves as a powerful symbol of the growing partnership between the US and Indian Coast Guard. Now let's take a look at other stories making news. Renowned Indian sand artist Sudarshan Patnaik creates sand art on the Odisha beach for awareness of first-time voters in India. In 110th episode of radio program Man Ki Baat, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi called upon the youth, especially the first-time voters, to actively participate in the democratic process through the Mera Pehla Vote Desh Ke Liye campaign. A 2-month-old motherless elephant calf found in Arapalayam forest has been shifted to Madumalai elephant camp of South India's Tamil Nadu. According to forest personnel, a female elephant aged around 35 to 40 years came to Banari forest along with its 60-day-old calf in search of water and food, but passed away due to illness. The villagers informed the forest officials and they bring the baby elephant to the camp. Indian Ministry of Jal Shakti launches a nationwide campaign, Jal Shakti Abhiyan Catch the Rain 2024 in Delhi. The theme of campaign is Nari Shakti se Jal Shakti, to recognize and appreciate the crucial role played by women in water management, conservation and sustainability. It will establish a powerful connection between the Nari Shakti and the sustainable management of water resources. Now let's move to some international stories. After providing humanitarian aids via airdrops, US dispatches vessel to provide aid to Gaza by sea. As per an official statement on Sunday, US Army vessel General Frank S. Besson departed Joint Base Langley Eustis en route to the eastern Mediterranean to provide humanitarian aid to Gaza. The vessel contains equipment for the establishment of a temporary pier for the delivery of vital humanitarian supplies. Now, tension is mounting across Israel and the Palestinian territories ahead of the Muslim holy month of Ramadan, which is expected to begin over the coming day. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is holding a number of meetings with senior officials on Sunday amid fear of a wider regional spillover from the war in Gaza. Here's more from Sarah Coates in Jerusalem.
The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is certainly expected to discuss a number of security issues ahead of the Muslim holy month of Ramadan, which could begin in just a number of hours' time. Certainly a lot of concern around this flashpoint area right here in Jerusalem, a lot of uncertainty as to what can happen over the next month, with fears that this flashpoint area could really explode. What we've been hearing over the last few days is the military wing of Hamas calling for people to march on the Al-Aqsa Mosque that you can just see behind me. This is the third holiest site in Islam and is often a flashpoint for extreme violence. This year, we do understand, according to the Israeli Security Cabinet, there will not be any extra measures put on Muslim worshippers who will really pour into that square, that plaza that you can see just behind me. This will, though, be reassessed on a week-by-week basis. We did hear from Netanyahu. He said that the sanctity of the holiday must be preserved, really pushing back against calls by his far-right National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir to put some extremely harsh restrictions on Muslim prayer at this mosque during the holy month, saying that anyone under the age of 60 should not be allowed in. But as I mentioned, certainly a lot of tension here in the old city. What we've been seeing over these past few days is a real bolstering of security forces, many very, very heavily armed border guards patrolling the area, also setting up a number of barriers. So certainly unclear as to what we can expect over the next few days, but we will certainly be monitoring this situation on the ground very closely. Sarah Coates in Jerusalem reporting for DD India.
Israeli military spokesperson Rear Admiral Daniel Hagri said naval dock intended to bring humanitarian aid into Gaza after it undergoes full Israeli inspection on Saturday.
Based on the instruction of the Defense Minister and together with our partners in the United States and the American Central Command, we are coordinating the establishment of a temporary floating naval dock intended to bring humanitarian aid into Gaza after it undergoes full Israeli inspection. The mission is a cooperation between Israeli Army and United States Central Command. We will distribute the equipment through international organizations to populations in need.
Now, Canada and Sweden have announced to resume funding to the United Nations Relief and Work Agency for Palestinian Refugees, or UNRWA. This comes after a pause of aid payments over terror allegations against several UNRWA staff. Earlier, at least 16 countries paused funds after Israel accused that 12 UNRWA staff were involved in the 7 October attack by Hamas. Sweden on Saturday said it would send $19 million initially after UNRWA agreed to more checks on its spending and staff. Earlier on Friday, Canada announced the resumption of funding while investigations into the agency's staff continue. The UN is investigating and France's foreign minister is leading a review. Updates now on Russia-Ukraine conflict. Russia's defense ministry said the Russian troops had intercepted Ukrainian aerial bombs on Saturday. It added the forces have repelled multiple Ukrainian attacks in directions including Kupiansk, Avdiivka and Donetsk, and struck Ukrainian anti-artillery radars, ammunition depots and other targets. While the Ukrainian armed forces claim to have launched attacks on Russian air defense system, the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine said Ukrainian air forces carried out multiple strikes along with hitting Russian air defense systems, electronic warfare base stations and other targets. A Russian bomb hit a residential area in Kherson on Friday, The attack damaged apartment blocks. The Kherson Regional State Administration released a video showing the severely damaged apartment blocks and interiors. Now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. The Assistant High Commission of India marked the International Women's Day in the Sri Lankan city of Kandy. 400 women from diverse backgrounds joined the vibrant celebration. Various activities including dance performances, breast cancer awareness and an empowerment session by Revlon were highlights of the event. The US Coast Guard on Saturday said that it did not observe any remaining recoverable oil sheen during a morning overflight of the coast of Huntington Beach in California. The sheen was discovered after a Coast Guard helicopter flew over the site on Friday. Investigation into the cause of the sheen is currently underway. Catholics in Barcelona prayed for rain on Saturday as the Spanish region of Catalonia faces its first drought on record. Some parts of the Iberian Peninsula are at their driest in 1200 years, forcing officials to consider bringing in water by ship. And former Ivory Coast President Laurent Gbagbo has agreed to contest in the presidential elections expected to be held in October 2025. Gbagbo was president of the West African country from 2000 to 2011. He will lead the African People's Party, Côte d'Ivoire, in the elections. And streets and homes in the east of Bolivia's capital, La Paz, were flooded on Saturday after heavy rains caused the Huilani River to overflow its banks. The local government deployed machinery that worked to clean the rubble carried by water in the flooded streets. At least one person has died. All right, we'll slip into a very short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. French President Emmanuel Macron's political party, Renaissance, launched its campaign for EU elections. Stratolaunch successfully completes the first powered flight of Talon A reusable hypersonic vehicle. Criminal investigation begins into the Boeing 737 MAX blowout on an Alaska Airlines flight.
Usually, our choice of transport is based on comfort, convenience, cost and time. But do we realize how do our choices impact the planet?
Under this project, we focus on planting indigenous trees. Smart City has set up the largest public bike sharing project anywhere in the country.
The data shows that there are not only too few green spaces for the number of people, but that they're also unevenly distributed and mostly located in the city's wealthiest neighborhoods.
He sold these systems to a bunch of cities around the United States, and in most cases they have not materialized. It's the short tunnel that connects up the convention center and is mainly just an attraction for Teslas.
Climate change means we have to shift from combustion engines to electric vehicles. A lot of money has been invested already and change is underway.
Wherever news breaks, whatever it takes.
Connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs, with a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders.
Voice of a rising aspirational world. Stories of challenges, struggles and accomplishment. A world battling conflict, hunger and poverty. Embracing growth, development, science and technology. A voice of progress, a voice of unity. Watch Voice of the Global South with me, Akshay Dongre, only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Recap of what we have done so far. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's developmental push to northern state of Uttar Pradesh will inaugurate projects worth more than Rs 42,000 crore. India poised to sign trade agreement with four-nation EFTA bloc, agreement to pave way for investment of $100 billion in India over the next 15 years. Nigeria's spate of abductions worsens. Over a dozen students kidnapped in a dawn trade, days after more than 300 students were kidnapped from school. In Czech Republic's Kristina Pliskova wins the coveted Miss World 2024 title at a grand event in Mumbai. India hosted the event after 28 years. Now, Nigeria's spate of abductions worsened on Saturday as gunmen kidnapped at least 15 people from a school in Nigeria in a dawn raid, days after about 300 children were abducted in another armed raid. Meanwhile, the army is still searching for hundreds of school children taken in the western town of Kuriga. In an update, the state governor said that at least 28 of these children kidnapped earlier this week had managed to escape their captors. Until Thursday's abduction, Nigeria had witnessed a lull in mass kidnappings from schools since July 2021, when some 150 students were abducted by armed men. Nearly 30 out of 300 school children who were kidnapped in Nigeria last week have escaped, according to state officials. It is not clear as yet which militant group is behind the kidnapping. But Nigerian authorities say they are intensifying search operations to rescue the rest of the kidnapped children. DD India's Nabil Ahmed Rufai has more.
The kidnapping of about 300 school children in northern Nigeria is the largest mass abduction in the country in 3 years. It has devastated the West African country, which has been striving to stop such crimes, bringing back the memory of the mass abduction of nearly 300 schoolgirls in Chibok by the militant group Boko Haram 10 years ago. Eyewitnesses say the latest incident happened on Thursday when gunmen on motorcycles rode through schools and abducted dozens of students. According to school teachers and parents, the kidnapped children are between the ages of 8 and 15. One pupil was shot by the gunmen and later died while receiving treatment in a hospital. Nigerian authorities say they have deployed the police to form search parties with local residents to try and rescue the kidnapped children. The kidnapping has ignited fears among parents in northern Nigeria who are reluctant to allow their children to go to school due to the safety concerns. No group has claimed responsibility for the abduction as yet, but it is suspected that a breakaway group from Boko Haram, known as Ansaru, may be behind the abduction. Nabil Ahmed Rufai, reporting in Accra, Ghana, for DD India.
US President Joe Biden and Donald Trump campaigned on Saturday in the US state of Georgia. That will be the first face-off of the 2024 general election. Biden and Trump clashed with dueling campaign visits to the same state for the second time this year, making their pitches in battleground Georgia. Holding his event in Atlanta, Biden took aim at Trump for entertaining Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban at his Florida club in recent days, accusing him of sucking up to dictators and authoritarian thugs all around the world. President Biden reiterated his view that Trump's story of resentment, revenge and retribution was not in the best interest of voters.
It can tell you a lot about a person who he keeps company with. And yesterday he was hosting at his club Viktor Orban, who says he doesn't think democracy works. Call him a fantastic leader. Seriously. He's been sucking up to win him. Anyway. to want to build dictators and authoritarian thugs all around the world.
After returning to Georgia, former U.S. President Donald Trump said Biden is a threat to democracy. Moving on to our next story now, Portugal is holding early parliamentary elections today, with voters set to elect 230 lawmakers to the National Assembly. Polls open at 8 a.m. and will close at 7 p.m. in the mainland. More than 10 million citizens are eligible to vote. Leaders of Portugal's political parties have wrapped up a two-week campaign for the tight election, which could end 8 years of socialist rule. The election was called after Socialist Prime Minister Antonio Costa resigned in November following an investigation into alleged illegalities in how his government handled major investments. And Senegal's presidential candidates launched their shortened campaigns on Saturday, 2 days after a court confirmed the election would be held on March 24th. The former mayor, Khalifa Sall, who was prevented by a jail sentence from contesting the 2019 presidential election and later pardoned, launched his campaign and organized his first rally. He pledged to reunite the divided country and reform state institutions to avoid future constitutional crisis. The new date leaves the 19 candidates little more than 2 weeks rather than the usual 21 days. Now, French President Emmanuel Macron's political party Renaissance launched its campaign for European Parliament elections in the northern city of Lille as it trails behind the far-right party. The French president has picked Valérie Hare, the 37-year-old head of the renewed group in the European Parliament, to lead his campaign in June 9 polls. Prime Minister Gabriel Attal, who took office after a reshuffle last January, has portrayed Le Pen's reassembling National Party as beholden to Russian President Vladimir Putin. According to a survey, Renaissance is polling second at 20% of voting intentions, while the Socialist Party is at 9 to 10% and the right wing, the Republicans, are tied at 8%. Now, voters in Ireland rejected two proposed changes to the references on family and women in its constitution. The two proposals, called the Family Amendment and the Care Amendment, aim to change the text of Article 41 in the Irish Constitution. Proposals to alter wording in the Constitution to include families which are not based on marriage were defeated with 67.7% voting no. A second proposed change on the wording around the role of women in the home was defeated by a higher margin, with 73.9% of voters rejecting it. It was the highest ever no vote percentage in an Irish referendum. Now, the U.S. Justice Department has opened a criminal investigation into the Boeing 737 MAX blowout on an Alaska Airlines flight in January earlier this year. Investigators have contacted passengers, pilots and flight attendants on the flight. The flight had made an emergency landing on the 5th of January in Portland, in Oregon, after a fuselage panel ripped off mid-air. The investigation would inform the DOJ's review of whether Boeing complied with an earlier settlement that resolved a federal investigation following two fatal 737 MAX crashes in 2018 and 19. A private US company, Stratolaunch, on Saturday said that it has successfully completed the first powered flight of its Talon A reusable hypersonic vehicle. Stratolaunch said that they reached high supersonic speeds approaching Mach 5. The company hopes to complete development of the reusable Talon A this year. The International Monetary Fund has refused to interfere in Pakistan's domestic policies after Imran Khan. All right, we'll come back to that story, but still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. All right, we'll come back to that story again. The IMF has encouraged Islamabad to hold fair resolution of all electoral disputes. This comes after incarcerated former PM Imran Khan penned a letter to the IMF urging the global lender to give the poll results a thorough once over before cutting any new checks for Islamabad. Imran Khan warned that without substantial investment in the country, the burden of loans would continue to rise, underscoring the need for political stability. All right, we'll slip into a very short break, but still to come on DD India News Hour. An explosive night for Oppenheimer at this year's annual Academy Awards. Preview of what we can expect at the Oscars. In badminton, world number 1 doubles pair Satvik Sairaj Rankireddy and Chirag Shetty storm into the finals of French Open for the third time. Bolivian women seek to conquer Mount Everest wearing traditional skirts.
Usually, our choice of transport is based on comfort, convenience, cost and time. But do we realize how do our choices impact the planet?
Under this project, we focus on planting indigenous trees. Smart City has set up the largest public bike sharing project anywhere in the country.
The data shows that there are not only too few green spaces for the number of people, but that they're also unevenly distributed and mostly located in the city's wealthiest neighborhoods.
He sold these systems to a bunch of cities around the United States, and in most cases they have not materialized. It's the short tunnel that connects up the convention center and is mainly just an attraction for Teslas.
Climate change means we have to shift from combustion engines to electric vehicles. A lot of money has been invested already and change is underway.
Voice of a rising aspirational world. Stories of challenges, struggles and accomplishment. A world battling conflict, hunger and poverty. Embracing growth, development, science and technology. A voice of progress, a voice of unity. Watch Voice of the Global South with me, Akshay Dongre, only on DD India.
Usually, our choice of transport is based on comfort, convenience, cost and time. But do we realize how do our choices impact the planet?
Under this project, we focus on planting indigenous trees. Smart City has set up the largest public bike sharing project anywhere in the country.
The data shows that there are not only too few green spaces for the number of people, but that they're also unevenly distributed and mostly located in the city's wealthiest neighborhoods.
He sold these systems to a bunch of cities around the United States, and in most cases they have not materialized. It's the short tunnel that connects up the convention center and is mainly just an attraction for Teslas.
Climate change means we have to shift from combustion engines to electric vehicles. A lot of money has been invested already and change is underway.
In a world that never stops, where information shapes our reality, one app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights and authentic information.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Czech Republic's Kristina Peskova was crowned the 71st Miss World in a grand ceremony at the Geo World Convention Center in the Indian city of Mumbai on Saturday. Kristina was crowned by former Miss World Karolina Bilavska. The 25-year-old is a law student at the Charles University in Prague. She volunteers for the Sonta Foundation in Tanzania and teaches English to underprivileged children. Kristina competed against contestants from over 110 countries. Yasmina Zastoon of Lebanon was crowned the first runner-up. India hosted the beauty pageant after 28 years and was represented by 22-year-old Sini Shetty. The finals consisted of a panel of 12 judges, including top industry professionals. Indian filmmaker Karan Johar hosted the event along with former Miss World Megan Young.
Something what I was working for so hard, and my Beauty of a Purpose project is my lifelong mission, and I know that with the Miss World platform and the ability that it gives us to speak up for the causes we think it's important, I'm sure that I'll be able to bring awareness to such an important thing like quality education for the children.
And critics are expecting an explosive night for Oppenheimer at this year's annual Academy Awards. The story of the atomic bomb has been hovering up wins this award season and is widely tipped to win Best Picture. William Denslow is in New York with a preview of what we can expect at the Oscars.
In the battle at the box office between Barbie and Oppenheimer, it was Barbie that came out on top. Greta Gerwig's film became the most successful ever to be directed by a woman, pulling in around $1.4 billion at the box office. But the biggest blasts on Oscar night are expected to be generated by Oppenheimer. It's been nominated 13 times and is widely tipped to win categories including Best Picture, Best Director, that would be Christopher Nolan, and Best Actor, that would be Cillian Murphy. Cillian Murphy, though, does face some competition. Critics say the biggest rival for that category likely to be Paul Giamatti for his portrayal of a boarding school teacher in the film The Holdovers. When it comes to Best Supporting Actor, many believe that'll likely be Robert Downey Jr. for his efforts in Oppenheimer. He does face competition, though, from Ryan Gosling after he played Ken in Barbie. Even if Gosling doesn't win, don't be too disappointed, though, Barbie fans. He is expected to perform this smash hit from the film, I'm Just Ken, live on Oscar night here in the US. When it comes to Best Actress, well, many critics believe that'll likely be between Lily Gladstone for her performance in Killers of the Flower Moon or Emma Stone for her performance in Poor Things. When it comes to who will be looking after and will be hosting Oscar night, that will fall to the late night talk show host Jimmy Kimmel. Analysts say the Oscars are in safe hands. This is the fourth time that he'll be hosting. William Denslow in New York reporting for DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for some sports updates. We'll start with French Open badminton. Top seeds and former champion Satvik Sairaj Rankireddy and Chirag Shetty reached third consecutive final of 2024 and third final at French Open after a dominating win over reigning world champions Kang Min Hyuk and Seo Seung-jae of Korea 21-13, 21-16 in the men's doubles semi-final in Paris. India's top duo will face Chinese Taipei's Li Zhenghui and Yang Po Suan in the finals on Sunday. Earlier, Lakshya Sen was defeated after being pushed into a decider in his men's singles semi-finals against Thailand's Kunlavut Wititsorn. The Indian hand edged ahead just in time to claim the first game 22-20, but was outplayed by his Thai opponent in the second and third game to lose the match 22-20, 13-21, 11-21. And two-time Paralympics gold medalist Devendra Jhajaria has been elected unopposed as the Paralympic Committee of India president, succeeding another celebrated para-athlete Deepa Malik. The 42-year-old javelin thrower had won a gold medal each in the 2004 Athens and 2016 Rio Paralympics.
मैं सभी को धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूं। उन्होंने मुझे इस काबिल समझा, इस लायक समझा और ये जो मुझे आज निर्वाचित हुआ हूं, काफ़ी मिसिंग रहेंगे। ज़िंदगी में मैंने नहीं सोचा था मैं कभी प्रेसिडेंट बन जाऊंगा, लेकिन आज मैं उस पद पे आया हूं। इस पे जो पिछले 4 साल में हमारे अच्छे कार्यक्रम जितने भी चले पैरा स्पोर्ट्स के लिए, उन कार्यक्रमों को हमें आगे बढ़ाना है और अच्छा ग्रास रूट पे जाके हमें अच्छा काम करना है।
And India decimated England in the 5th test by an innings and 64 runs to clinch the series 4-1. In the series of milestones, Indian off-spinner Ravichandran Ashwin, England skipper and batter Johnny Bairstow made their 100th test appearances. As many as 7 players from both the sides made their debut. More in the story.
India crushed England by an innings and 64 runs inside 3 days of the 5th and final test in Dharamshala to clinch the series 4-1. England were all out for 195 in their second innings. Joe Root waged a lone battle and top scored with 84. Off-spinner Ravichandran Ashwin claimed 5 wickets for 77 in his 100th test match for a haul of 9 wickets. He also crossed milestone of 500 test wickets. Kuldeep Yadav was adjudged player of the match primarily for his 5-wicket haul in the first innings. India opener Jaiswal won the player of the series for his aggregate of 712 runs, which included 2 double hundreds from 9 innings. India were without several frontline players and fielded 5 debutants in the series. Wicketkeeper Dhruv Jurel, batters Sarfaraz Khan and Devdutt Pallikal and seamer Akashdeep were impressive. This was India's 17th consecutive test series win at home. It was England's first series defeat under captain Ben Stokes and coach Brendan McCullum, who have championed an ultra-aggressive approach to Test cricket. But it was not only gloom and doom for the tourists. England can take heart from the performance of spinners Shoaib Bashir and Tom Hartley, both playing in their debut series. Furthermore, Johnny Bairstow and Ben Stokes joined the 100 Test club. England war horse James Anderson became the first seam bowler to claim 700 Test wickets. Sports Desk, DD India.
And in a bid to encourage players, the BCCI Secretary Jay Shah has announced a Test cricket incentive scheme to reward the Indian players who prioritize the red ball format and are always readily available for the longest format of the game. Players who play more than 75% of the tests in a season will receive additional nearly $54,800 as fee per match. The new scheme is effective from 2022-2023 season. Each Test cricketer is paid nearly $18,100 as match fee at the moment by the BCCI. And the valuable audience of DD News and DD India will see the anchors of DD News and DD India in new look and feel. Prasar Bharati and Khadi and Village Industries Commission signed MOU to launch Khadi outfits to be worn by all anchors of India's national broadcaster, DD News and DD India. The MOU was signed on September 18, 2023.
It's the fabric of the nation. It's patriotism, it's your love for the country. It's something that binds us all together as Indians.
Khadi, a fabric that breathes warm in winter and cool in summer. It represents India's self-reliance, legacy, traditions and pride of rural productivity. Khadi, a hand-spun, hand-woven, skin-friendly fabric that breathes. And now it is ready to breathe life into the styling of anchors of channels which are synonymous to authenticity. Anchors of DD News and DD India are all set to don Khadi apparels and showcase the symbol of sustainable clothing, bridging tradition with modernity.
Having it on DD, where millions and millions of people are seeing this and where they will be writing underneath that this is a Khadi product, when, you know, every time you see somebody endorsing the dress the anchors are wearing. And this time it is going to be KVIC and Khadi. Can't get anything better than that.
This is all thanks to an MOU signed between Khadi and Village Industries Commission, KVIC, and Prasar Bharati on September 18th, 2023.
This was a totally new experience, and the fact that everybody took it so, they welcomed us. Let's say they welcomed us and they were happy to see a new kind of style. It's a labor of love, and this journey has only been possible because of the help from all the news anchors, from the management, from the consultants that they have. At the end of it, we are happy. What's more important is if the anchor is happy. And what is most important is that when they appear on television, then everybody will see the difference.
During India's independence struggle, Mahatma Gandhi adopted khadi as a tool to fight the British and make the country self-reliant. From playing an important part in the freedom struggle to the contemporary times, khadi's acceptance with the people of India has never gone out of fashion. Irrespective of age and gender, khadi clothes are a hit with people across the globe. Be it kurtas, shirts, jackets or saris, the fabric of India has something for everyone. And now with this new collaboration between Prasar Bharati and KVIC, it is a marriage of two institutions which are symbolic of heritage, tradition and credibility. A new look and feel awaits the audience of DD News and DD India, and an apt promotion of khadi products across the globe with this historic agreement.
To have the opportunity to be able to design for, these anchors who are representing the country every single day, from news to whatever's happening around the country, they are the face of the country. They are the ones who actually communicate what is happening around the country to us and to the billions of Indians that live around the country. So I do think it's a fabulous opportunity for me, and I'm just very proud to have been able to combine my love for textile, for sustainability, the pride I have as an Indian, and bring it all together in this story. I just think this is going to be a whole new look. And where we are as a country, where we are today, as what the world is looking at us as Indians, is what I'm hoping will come across with this new wardrobe, with this new design aesthetic for the Doordarshan anchors. And I think they stand for the new India, the proud India, the strong India that we are today.
Embrace yourself for a unique collaboration that celebrates tradition, innovation and sustainability, together shaping a brighter future. This is where tradition meets news.
And 4 indigenous Bolivian women seek to tackle Mount Everest wearing their traditional polera skirts. They have climbed some of Latin America's most defined mountains now. Well, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly Twitter and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks air on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.
Usually, our choice of transport is based on comfort, convenience, cost and time. But do we realize how do our choices impact the planet?
Under this project, we focus on planting indigenous trees. Smart City has set up the largest public bike sharing project anywhere in the country.
The data shows that there are not only too few green spaces for the number of people, but that they're also unevenly distributed and mostly located in the city's wealthiest neighborhoods.
He sold these systems to a bunch of cities around the United States, and in most cases they have not materialized. It's the short tunnel that connects up the convention center and is mainly just an attraction for Teslas.
Climate change means we have to shift from combustion engines to electric vehicles. A lot of money has been invested already and change is underway.
In a world that never stops, where information shapes our reality, one app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis, and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights, and authentic information.
Voice of a rising aspirational world. Stories of challenges, struggles, and accomplishment. A world battling conflict, hunger, and poverty. Embracing growth, development, science, and technology. A voice of progress.